Morning, everyone, and thank you for joining this Greater Hartford Legal Aid briefing on the Coronavirus Relief Act. I'm Giovanna Shea. I'm the Litigation and Advocacy Director here at Greater Hartford Legal Aid, and I just want to go over a few housekeeping matters. First, this call is being recorded, and we will share it online at www.ctlawhelp.org. I think everyone has been muted, but if for some reason you are not muted, please mute your phones or microphone so that everyone can hear the speaker and we avoid any feedback or unnecessary background noise. If you have a question, please put it in the chat box and we will respond at the end as time allows. We have turned off the video for everyone presenters. We think you will have a better visual experience if you set your Zoom display to speaker view. Finally, we want you to know that GHLA is continuing to serve clients even if our physical office space is not open to the public. Please do not hesitate to have a client call the office to apply for services at 860-541-5070. 860-541-5070. Our website is www.ghla.org. With that, I will introduce our presenters today. Attorney Allison Weir is GHLA's policy advocate. Allison coordinates benefits-related policy for the Legal Services Network statewide. Attorney Lucy Potter focuses her law practice on benefits. Lucy brings tremendous depth of experience in this area, including over 3 decades of individual and systemic advocacy and policy analysis. And supporting them today also is law graduate Clarissa Guerrero, who is our Singer Fellow. And with that, I will turn it over to Allison and Lucy.
Thank you, Giovanna. Hi, everyone. Today we will be covering the new stimulus checks, updates to unemployment benefits, and food assistance. We will also touch briefly on changes at the federal level to housing assistance, but we note there are still details we worked out at the state level as to how these will be implemented. If you have questions, please enter them in the chat box as they arise, and we will address them after we complete the prepared portion of this briefing. We're first going to cover a Q&A about the stimulus checks and try to answer a lot of questions that have been circulating. First, Lucy, who's eligible to receive the checks?
Well, individuals with a valid Social Security number earning up to $75,000 will get the full $600. For couples earning up to $150,000, each will get $600 for a combined $1,200, assuming that both have a valid Social Security number, and I'll explain a bit more about that later. Children will receive $600 each. And to qualify, children have to be under the age of 17 as of the end of 2019. They have to be citizens or legal residents, and they have to be related to the filer and claimed as a dependent living with you for more than half of 2019. The legislation is quite detailed about what related to you means, and Clarissa is going to drop something into the chat, giving a little more detail there.
Do you need to apply for the check? And how so? If so, how do you apply?
Well, there's no need to apply to receive the stimulus check. In fact, there aren't the methods on the IRS site that there were last time. The checks will be distributed largely based on your 2019 tax return. If you got the 2000 stimulus, if you got the $1,200 stimulus, by any means, you should also get the $600 stimulus. People who get veterans benefits or Social Security benefits will qualify based on the information that those agencies have. It's an automatic process, and as I said, the non-filer mechanism that was on last time is not available this time on the IRS website. And the payment will go either directly into your bank account if IRS has that account number, or it will be issued either on a payment card or by check.
What should I be looking for if I don't have a bank account or if the money isn't deposited into my account?
You'll get a U.S. Treasury check, and it'll have a U.S. Treasury return address with a watermark on the check. Or you might get an economic impact payment card, which looks like a star-spangled Visa debit card. And here's a picture of it. There it is. So if you get one of those, don't throw it out.
Great. What if I don't file income tax returns?
Well, there's no non-filer tool on the IRS website this time. So if you don't get it, what you have to do is file for your 2020 tax return and request it that way.
Can I get a stimulus if I make more than $75,000?
You can, up to $99,000, but you'll get a declining amount depending on where your income falls in that range. Likewise with couples, they can earn up to $198,000, but again, it tapers off between $150,000 and $198,000.
And what if I don't have a Social Security number?
You need to have a valid Social Security number to get the stimulus. But unlike last time, mixed immigration status couples where one spouse is documented and has a Social Security number and the other doesn't, you can receive partial payment for the spouse that does have the Social Security number, and for documented children, they'll each qualify for $600. But this is an important change from the $1,200 payments last time, where if one of the household heads didn't have a Social Security number, the whole family was disqualified. So this is a little bit better than last time.
Great. Can the stimulus check be garnished by the government or by creditors?
No, it can't be garnished for federal debts, including child support this time. Last time they could be garnished for child support, but no longer. And you can find out more details about all this on the IRS website that I think Clarissa is dropping into the chat box.
All this sounds great. Are there changes to some of the standard programs available to help people? Are there other changes to some of the standard programs available to help people through hard economic times?
Yes, I'd like to talk about SNAP. There's a few changes, some continuations. First, the SNAP supplement, which provides the full SNAP benefit for the family size maximum amount, will continue. We're expecting, again, on a month-by-month basis. DSS has to go to FNS for approval each month, but the expectation is that will be approved for the duration of the public health emergency. Currently, that expires on April 21st, 2021. It has been continued a number of times, and I think the expectation is that it will continue possibly throughout 2021. Also continuing are other flexibilities that allowed states to distribute school lunches when the schools are closed, to distribute those directly to the kids, and also to distribute food to seniors who would otherwise have gotten food in congregate settings, in group settings. The pandemic EBT program, and that's a program that pays cash, the amount of the allotment for the school lunch that a kid misses because school is not being held live. Those payments will continue. And the Act also allows those payments to extend to kids in preschool, which was not a possibility before. The details on that have yet to be worked out. And in Connecticut, pandemic EBT is pretty complicated because we have so many hybrid situations. And so it's been hard for DSS to work it out, and we're not quite as prompt as some of the other states in getting that money out. But the big news with this legislation is that SNAP benefits will be increased to 15% for 6 months. So that's from now through the end of June. And the way that's going to play out with the SNAP supplement is that people will get the full SNAP supplement with the 15% increase. So that's really good news. And some are hoping that that might continue, but that has certainly not been determined yet. Another change in SNAP is that there's a slight easing up in the rules around college student eligibility. It's generally very difficult for full-time students to qualify for SNAP, but under the new law, students who qualify for no family contribution under the FAFSA or students who qualify for work study will be SNAP eligible. Couple of other things, there's more administrative support for online purchasing and for farmers markets. And there's also continuing funding for the direct food distribution, the farm to family box program, which had been going on in Connecticut. So those are kind of summaries of the food and SNAP provisions.
Terrific. There have also been changes to the unemployment benefits. The last COVID relief package, the CARES Act, introduced a number of different COVID-19 related unemployment benefits. So I'm going to go through a quick review of what they are because they have a lot of names and initials. The Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation, PEUC, which originally provided an additional 13 weeks of benefits to regular state unemployment benefits. So if your state usually provides 26 weeks of UI benefits, with the PEUC, if you were unemployed as a result of COVID, you could collect additional benefits at the usual level of state compensation. There was also the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, which is an unemployment benefit for people who do not otherwise qualify for state unemployment insurance, such as people who are self-employed, gig workers like Uber drivers, and those, et cetera, as long as they lost work due to one of several COVID-19 related causes. And there was also the federal pandemic unemployment compensation, which added additional compensation above the standard state compensation. Under the CARES Act last year, the additional compensation was $600, and under the new act, it's $300 a week. While the $600 extra benefit that people got until July did count as income for SNAP purposes, this additional $300 compensation does not count for eligibility purposes for either Medicaid or SNAP. So if you're getting this, it shouldn't count against you as income if you're trying to qualify for SNAP or for Medicaid. The new legislation extends these programs for 10 weeks or until March 14th, 2021. And now here's where it gets a little complicated. If after March 14th, workers who have already been approved for the PEUC or the PAU have not exhausted all the weeks to which they're entitled, their state standard duration plus the 13 weeks from the CARES Act, plus the additional 10 weeks from this new legislation, and they can continue to collect the benefits for up to 4 more weeks or until April 5th, 2021, whichever comes first. So in Connecticut, the state usually pays unemployment for 26 weeks. Under the CARES Act and this new legislation, the total number of weeks is 49 weeks. So if someone started a COVID-related unemployment later in the pandemic, for example, say on June 1st, 2020, they may be able to receive these COVID-19 related unemployment benefits up to and including the week of April 5th, 2021, if they have not collected unemployment for more than 49 weeks.
Okay, so this is pretty complicated. Let's just try to clarify a couple of things. A person can get either regular unemployment or pandemic unemployment, the gig worker benefit, but not both. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and then they can get an extension of these benefits for extra weeks, up to a total of 49 weeks during last year and this, but not past April 5th. Is that kind of right?
That's correct.
And then the $300 payment is an additional amount that a person can get, whether they're getting regular unemployment insurance or pandemic unemployment, the gig worker benefit, and they can get that until April 5th also. Is that correct?
If they haven't had 49 weeks of unemployment benefits by that point, yes. The new legislation also allows states to waive repayment of unemployment assistance overpayments where the overpayment was a result of an honest mistake by the claimant and repayment could be difficult for the claimant.
Okay, so there are a number of additional provisions in the legislation that we're not going to discuss in depth, but just wanted to quickly highlight. For instance, there is $3.2 billion appropriated nationally to fund discounts of up to $50, $75 on tribal lands for the cost of internet service. So that's per qualifying household. a subsidy for computers and tablets also. The way this is going to play out is that providers can get directly reimbursed by the FCC. Families that qualify for free lunch, Pell Grants, et cetera, are going to be in a national validation database. It works something like the Obama phone program. In addition, $300 million has been appropriated to expand broadband, especially in rural areas.
Additionally, the legislation extends the CDC eviction moratorium until January 31st, 2021, and includes additional funds for the emergency rental assistance programs of states. It's anticipated that Connecticut will receive approximately $250 million, or about 200 million of which will be for direct rental assistance. The funds will be limited to renter households with incomes not more than 80% of the area median income, where at least one member of the household can demonstrate a risk of homelessness or housing instability, and at least one household member qualifies for unemployment benefits or is experiencing financial hardship due to the pandemic.
One other thing is there's FEMA funding to assist low-income families with funeral expenses if they experience the loss due to COVID. And that money will be distributed through the state. Connecticut is currently developing what that plan will be.
There's also renewal of the Paycheck Protection Program, which provides loans or grants to employers to help them pay employees, with first distribution going through community banks. And they've made some corrections to the program from last time to ensure that the program helps smaller businesses first. Additionally, there's a program to promote community development investment in low and moderate income areas that were adversely affected by COVID-19. So we're still waiting on some of the details on that, but keep in mind that these programs were embedded in over 2,000 pages of legislation, which also include the standard appropriations and authorization covering government programs apart from the COVID-19 related programs for this year. So it's likely there's more standard appropriations that were informed by current economic downturn that we have not mentioned here that may provide additional relief, even if they are not explicitly part of the COVID-19 related relief portion of the bill. Finally, we're talking about the bill that was most recently signed into law. As you may have heard, there will be a new administration in the White House, and President-elect Biden has already announced that he plans on introducing a new bill. And there's a new Congress, so it's possible that there'll be another COVID relief bill in the future, but at that point, we don't have any details on that apart from what we've heard from President-elect Biden and what he would propose, and of course that could change tremendously by the time it actually gets through Congress. When there is, you can be sure we'll have another briefing. With that, we'd like to open the discussion to your questions. Giovanna, do we have any questions in the chat?
We do have a couple. So you mentioned that this time around the extra $300 for unemployment would not count as income for SNAP purposes. We have a question. Do we know whether the extra $600 last time or $300 this time will be counted as income for your taxes when it comes time to filing your taxes? Do we know that?
I believe the answer is no, but I will double check on that.
Okay, we can circulate a response to that to Christina. And then we have a question on the rental assistance. And again, we may have to get back to folks if we don't have the answer now. The question is, are there any funds for rental assistance for those without a social security number or who are undocumented? Were there limitations on the rental assistance in this bill?
We will also have to get back to you on that.
Okay, and that question was from Karen Paquette, so we will get back to you on that. Other questions from anyone? Anything further from our panelists? All right, we'll make this recording available and we will email with the responses to those two questions. Thank you so much for joining us. Be safe and be well, everyone. Take good care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.